Hey guys, it's time to begin. And guess what? I don't have my reads again. As soon as Blake started the countdown, I realized I don't have the reads. And I want to say thank you to Rebecca for cleaning up in here. So hopefully those reads are the exact same spot when I ask Blake and Lenny how they're doing. I'm going to spin around. The camera's going to go off me. I'm going to try and do a panic mode right here. But hey, happy Monday, everybody.
We made it through the weekend.
Lenny, how you doing?
I'm doing real good, Troy. I got to tell you, we had family in town for the weekend. Showed off the city of St. Augustine. They loved it. They said at the Casamonica. By the way, I have an interesting question, and you may know the answer to this. Casamonica, at one point in time, had a Bill Clinton autograph on the wall immediately to the left of the reception desk.
Yes.
They've covered that wall with, like, paint and tiles and stuff.
I think they cut out
I didn't see it because I looked at it and I thought I knew where it was, and the whole wall's covered. So I'm curious.
Yeah, no, I think they cut out that section.
Oh, and moved it elsewhere.
And moved it elsewhere.
Okay, fine.
There was a little chair there and some other stuff. But I'm pretty sure that they cut that out. So, Blake, how you doing back there, man?
I'm doing well. I realized I didn't set up my back TV in here to put up like random images of the day, so I'm just setting that up right now.
So we're all.
Hi, I'm prepared. How's everybody out there? How odd is that?
What the heck? Oh, I got a baseball. Your article's slid in there too. Whew. All right. Whew. I got them all.
I also got my planting done this weekend.
You did?
Yeah.
What did you plant?
I planted oregano, jalapenos, basil, and a whole bunch of flowers.
All right.
Yeah, because we had our pavers cleaned and sealed.
Oh yeah, and our guy.
Yep.
Our big guy came over and helped you out, right?
Took a little while, but he got it done.
Yeah,
yep.
well, he
Looks
had a
great.
baby,
Dwight's happy. Yes, he does. Yep.
All right. Guess what? We got to pay some bills.
Oh, I have these reads right here.
Now that we're all ready, we got them right in front of us. Why wouldn't we have them in front of us? Not like we've done this before. All right. Bozard Ford Lincoln in St. Augustine, their goal is to make sure your time and experience buying a car is stress-free, fun, and enjoyable. Bozard is a family-owned Ford dealership that has been in the business since 1949. Bozard Ford Lincoln has been the recipient of numerous dealer awards, including being ranked #1 automotive dealership in the nation by Dealer Rater. Bozard Ford also has won back-to-back President's Awards, which is the highest honor given to Ford by Ford Motor Company. Check them out today at bozardford.com. Who you got, Lenny?
Hey, you know, these neighborhood diners are more than just a place to eat. They're where hospitality blooms and friends gather. Bring your own or make new ones. That's bring your own friends, not bring your own booze. And make new ones. It's like BYOB in a whole different fashion. That would be BYOF. The coffee's always hot, the smiles are genuine, and the food tastes like home. It's really good. Every meal is a chance to make memories, share stories, and create bonds that last a lifetime. It's not about the food on the plate, but the community that comes together at the tables. Come see us at that's Moultrie Creek Diner or Anastasia Diner and tell them Andy sent you. And I say it all the time. Try the pancakes. They is fluffy and delicious.
Yeah, I did the Reuben over there the other day. It was great. Always great people. Great catching up with Andy. Just been a great sponsor with us, and we appreciate him at both locations.
Yep, and we enjoy it very much.
And I have not, and I admit we have to go down, Blake, like one Sunday morning and go to Moultrie Creek Diner. I have not been there yet.
We've been there a couple of times because it was closer to where my mother-in-law was at a extended care down there, but now she moved closer to us, so we don't do Moultrie Creek anymore because it's out of the way.
All right. Nope, but Andy says, you got to get there. Okay, so I'm going to listen to Andy. All right, here we go. We're talking about PAL Heating and Air. Emergency service, always open 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, including nights, weekends, and holidays. Locally owned business for over, it says 39, but I think it's 40 now, 40 years. PAL Heating and Air Conditioning dedication to customer service has been evident in everything they do. From the moment they answer your call until the time they arrive at your home, they are working to make you comfortable and confident about the care and service you receive from PAL. They have a fleet of 10-plus trucks and 15,000 square foot warehouse stocked with parts, so you never have to wait. They service all types of heating and air conditioning brand. Give them a call at 904-794-COOL. That's 904-794-2665.
Hey, you need a trusted electrician in St. Augustine? Call Mr. Electric of St. Augustine, a local veteran-owned business providing expert residential and commercial electrical services. They're across St. John's, Flagler, and Putnam counties. From panel upgrades and lighting installs to safety inspections and EV chargers, their licensed pros do it all with upfront pricing and satisfaction guaranteed, backed by the neighborly done right promise. Flexible scheduling, no surprises, just dependable hometown service. Call 904-289-1217 today or visit online to request service. That's 904-289-1217. Mr. Electric of St. Augustine, your local power experts.
Yeah. And also, we got to give shout outs to our other amazing sponsors. Got a hiccup. Brightway Insurance, St. Augustine Pirate and Treasure Museum, Anastasia Construction Group. That's harder to say than you think. Solar Stick, Abear Kresge and Associate, The Saint, Me Hands, A.D. Davis Construction, Land Title American, because they give a crap, and Kaiser's. So thank you guys. You're amazing. I'll take those, put them over in the way for tomorrow. But we got a lot of stuff to talk about, Lenny.
Oh, yeah.
There's some stuff going on in the world.
It's brewing. It's percolating.
And it's kind of good and bad, I believe. And I don't know how to make it feel right, but I think it's something that had to happen. And I'm not sure you're going to agree with that. But since we've left on Thursday night, there's been a lot of stuff happening. U.S. actively got involved in Iran. And we kind of went over and did a little bitch slap, and said, hey, we really wanted you at the table. Stop using that, because I think Iran's trying to use the media against the U.S., and I think the U.S. really does want them at the table to talk about this. And because things fell apart right after Iran said, oh, we're going to pull out of this nuclear agreement thing. Well, and that's when the things really hit the fan.
Okay, let's go back historically, and this is just contextual. Trump pulled out of the nuclear agreement in his first term. So there was a pathway to diplomacy, and he said, yeah, screw you, we're not talking to you. And it evolved from there to get us to where we are today. Trying to get back to the table. So should we go
back to 79 if we're going back that far?
Keep going. Yeah.
Okay. No, I mean, if you want to dig deep, and why he did some of the things is because they can't be trusted.
Understandable.
But
but it makes us wonder: can we?
Iran is continually said death to Israel and death to the United States.
Exactly.
You know, and they're going to continue
Trump
to say
it's the hugest sign he's ever seen in the world. So it's hyperbole.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand that they're vociferously trying to destroy Israel, who is in proximity there. But, they haven't done anything to try to, I mean, if they had the opportunity, I'm sure they would, but it's kind of weird. No, I don't have a major problem with that. And I'm kind of impressed by the fact that, he said, oh, we'll wait 2 weeks. We'll wait 2 weeks and we'll see what happens. We'll talk about it.
5 days.
And then 15 minutes later, he said, oops.
He gave him 5 days.
I know.
He gave him 5 days.
Hey, you know what?
And if you can't make up your mind in 5 days, sorry.
Well, I think they were trying to come back, but it was impressive subterfuge.
No, they were not. They said they were. This is the whole the CNN buy-in from Iran, because they do this crap as good as anybody, and then they put it on the internet, and then they do a really nice job with that. But they weren't coming back with anything. They wanted to pick the fight. They wanted to be the victim. But, and because you know who wins in these conflicts like this? The losing side.
Well,
think about all losing sides. They end up doing pretty good. Think about where's Japan right now? Well, where's Germany right now?
You ever read a book called The Mouse That Roared?
No.
Fabulous.
It sounds like me as a child.
It's a paperback that you'll knock off in a good afternoon sitting on the beach or on your porch.
Yeah, I don't do either one of those.
It's about
I sit on the porch, but I'm watching sports.
Okay, well,
yeah.
It's about this country that had that figured out. It's a fictional country somewhere over in Europe, and they're on the balls of their ass, and they picked a fight with the United States. And they had 6 people in their army.
Yeah.
The United States, and they said, and the entire
now you have to rebuild us.
And the entire plan was to get rebuilt. And there's a book. It's called The Mouse That Roared.
Yeah.
It's great. And it's exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, I don't think that we're going to go back in unless there's, now the new term is regime change. Unless there's regime change, I don't think we're going in and doing a damn thing in Iraq and in Iran. And by that same token, I come back to the same thing. You've got very rich Arab partners around there. Why aren't they ponying it up? Why aren't they in there? Why aren't they protecting their asses?
Well, no, they're looking at the United States to say, hey, we saw what you did. And that was part of it, too, from the U.S.'s side. All right? We launched planes from Missouri.
That was impressive. They refilled like 3 times.
Refilled three times.
That was a freaking long. Yeah, that impressed me very much.
One way.
Yeah.
You know, there's a bedroom.
Your ass falls asleep on 6.
There's a bedroom in those B-2s or whatever they are.
Yeah.
I mean, in those stealth bombers.
Yeah.
And they put it,
and a kitchen,
they hit a target like the size of like a storm cover. Like it was like this big, the size of the top of a barrel.
What was it? Like a Womp Rat or whatever it is that Luke was able to get right in there on the Death Star. You know?
Exactly. Pull up. Right. But I mean, the thing is the U.S., Iran's supposed to be this big power. U.S. went in, dropped everything. Iran never got a shot off.
Correct. Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
Iran went to Qatar today, said they shot 14 missiles.
Yeah.
You know, 13 of them were hit, and the other one hit something insignificant.
An empty space.
And then Iran, you know, because they're playing that, what do you call it? The mouse that
roared.
The mouse that roared.
Yeah, they're not going to win that
they're
one.
They're playing the mouse that roared right now. They're like, hey,
right.
We're not looking for a fight.
Right.
We just sent the exact same missile bombs you sent to us in a non-populated area. You know, it is kind of like, well, we knew they were going to get shot down, but, you know, so immediately they gave a response like, hey, we're not looking for a fight.
Right. Well, that's what we were talking about before. You know, they dropped the same number of missiles of the number of bombs that we dropped, and I get a kick out of the fact that we were talking about this a little bit earlier, of the proportional response. Mm-hmm. You know, somebody blows up something, and then we go up and blow up a bunch of desert tents that were a terrorist training organization. You know, it's just annoying. If you're gonna stop somebody, stop them. Mm-hmm. But this namby-pamby, okay, so we're gonna slap you, you're gonna slap us, doesn't accomplish anything. It just prolongs.
Well, Iran didn't want to slap.
No,
they wanted to just go, okay, we're just doing this so our people aren't mad at us.
Right, and they are. Yeah,
that was the kind of so at their own regime, So and that was the kind of message I took today's attack on. Yeah. I'll see if there's other, because if Iran takes it beyond this and does some other sneak attacks or some other, I think. Well,
cyber's the question that people are concerned about mostly. They're pretty good on cyber disturbances, and they're tougher to follow back to where they're coming from. But if anything happens, like if power grids start going down, people are going to start looking at Iran.
Yeah.
Which doesn't mean it's an opening for China, Russia, or anybody else, or just bad hats.
I was driving here, and it was about 4:30. It's starting to get a little busy, and some people are leaving from Grumman, and we're on our way out here. I was driving here, and I was like, what would really screw up the United States is if they made every traffic light green at one time. Yeah. Just immediately, like at 4:28, all over the United States, every traffic light's green. You know what that would do to L.A., New York, Chicago, any major city? Yeah. It'd be bad enough here. We have our own traffic issues, but imagine what it does to D.C. at that point. I mean,
it stands still, and what it would the drain on your emergency services for the accidents that would involve injuries. Forget it, no doubt about it.
And Josh also said that Iran also said, "Hey, we're going to do this."
Right.
Hey, just be prepared. We're doing this. Right. So they kind of.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing is what's Qatar's response to this? Because it was an American airbase in Qatar, but Qatar is another independent country. You're talking about sovereignty.
They sent an apology directly to Qatar.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah. I'll see if I can find that. But they sent a letter. Our brotherhood of Qatar. Yeah. We purposely kept it away from civilians, and it was targeted towards this.
The airbase. Yeah.
And so I mean, Iran definitely sent an apology letter to Qatar immediately, maybe even before.
Right.
So
just when you hear something go boom, we're apologizing in advance.
Yeah, in case you hear that sizzle,
right?
That's us around the corner,
right?
So and evidently it's like where they attacked is like 40 miles from like the capital,
Doha.
Yeah.
But now I'm confused because I thought I read this the earlier this afternoon that Iran has closed the Strait of Hormuz, and I don't know if that's accurate.
No, not yet.
Okay,
not yet. That is one of the things that's being threatened out there.
Okay,
all right. I had it up on I was trying to find it. I was going to read what they said. It was like, hey, Cutter, we're not attacking you.
Right.
And
Your guests.
Yeah.
We don't like you. We don't like your house guests.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Okay.
The UAE, yeah, I mean, they're kind of in shutdown mode. I mean, there's a lot of places in that area that are kind of in shutdown mode. And
you know what? And you got the big kahuna there that, what the hell is Saudi Arabia doing?
Mm-hmm.
They got more money than any other country there. They've got a reasonable number of people, but they've got more open land and desert that who the hell knows what's buried in that desert area.
Yeah.
God forbid. We've sent them more armaments, more jets, more sophisticated weaponry. Saudi Arabia is probably one of the best armed militaries in the entire region.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I can tell you, I did a tour of Grumman like 15 years ago, and we were selling planes to them. One of the AWACS, older AWACS planes or whatever it was, that flies up and kind of can read everything for 5,000 miles around it. But they were working on this one, and I was like, hey, where's this one going? I was like, oh, this one's going to Saudi Arabia. I was like, hey, you have anything that's going to the U.S.? You can't see those.
So if they get the old models, we get the new ones. They can have, that was last year's model. You can have that one.
And I said, how many models are the rest? Because there was another one that was being built for France. I was like, how many models are we ahead of them? And they went, we don't know. Several.
Right.
We're like, they're talking like not just 2 or 3. We're talking like 6 or 7 models ahead.
Well, that would help.
So,
because I know we keep sending Saudi Arabia next generation fighters, and Saudi Arabia, to the best of my understanding, has a pretty talented air force because we've trained them.
Yeah. So, no, go ahead, Blake.
But the one thing I want to point out about Saudi Arabia right now, like especially for me, is because WWE is actually having an event like this Friday and Saturday in Riyadh. Saudi
Who is? Did you say WWE?
Yes.
Oh goodness.
So they actually have like they already sent some preliminary setup crew in Qatar right now, and they're stuck in Qatar right now because they shut down the airspace through there, and then of course it's like should WWE still be going to the Middle East at this point right now?
All right, that's a creepy picture you got over your shoulder, Dick Cheney.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
I love his background art.
It's like he's in the duck blind with him.
Be careful, man.
Yeah.
All right, so now Blake, as our resident WWE expert, do they have a heel or a hero known as the Sheik these days? Because there used to be a Sheik.
Yeah, no.
Because how would he play? How would he play over in the sandbox?
He unfortunately died in like 2022. So.
And nobody took the role and put on the big turban.
It's probably not wise.
Put on the robes.
It's probably not wise to do that anymore.
Not here.
It's not wise to do that. But
he'd be a heel.
You might be, yeah.
Yeah,
but here's the thing though. I know it's like highly unlikely that they'll directly target like U.S. civilians that might be performing in Saudi Arabia, but just like the threat of that, but just like the existence, like knowing like, oh, Iran could just destroy an entire company and kill U.S. citizens just to get a message, and like, what's the biggest place to do that?
They're not going to do that.
I know it's highly unlikely.
And I would think
that's an unrealistic thing that they're not going to.
Right, and Saudi Arabia
they'll have the whole state of Alabama after them, and no one wants that.
And Saudi Arabia is, virtually a police state to a large degree. So to try to accomplish something like that in Saudi Arabia, it doesn't happen.
They're not going in Saudi Arabia.
So. Yeah, you got a lot of people walking around without hands in Saudi Arabia because they tried to steal a cookie.
Yeah,
there's severity there.
Yeah, Amanda said, "Be careful, Blake, about Dick Cheney in there with you." Right. All right. Let's go to a couple other topics because we do have some other topics to talk about because this one's going to be a topic.
Keep going for a while.
It's going to be a topic all week long. I mean, sorry, you guys are going to catch some of those updates in our.
It's going to be interesting to see what Congress does now.
All right, here's some of my topics. You got some over there. I have immigrants origins by state. All right.
Okay.
What you got?
I've got QWERTY keyboard.
QWERTY keyboard. Okay, I saw that this day in history thing.
Cranky AI. AI's getting a little snotty.
So you're doing 2. I'm doing 1. Okay. Right. He's new here.
I write them down. I read them off. I didn't even get to
1 at a time.
Fine. Well, go ahead. So how come you get 2? Why don't we do 4 and really confuse the child?
You get 2 next time around.
Fine. Okay.
You're getting 2 to start.
Fine. Thank you.
All right. So Blake, you have AI, QWERTY, and immigrants origins by state.
Wait, so Now we're doing 4 now?
No, the immigrant. I sent you the map on the immigrants and by state.
Okay, I'm joking.
Did you not read that one?
Yes, I did.
So AI, QWERTY keyboards. That's one. Okay, so he's got AI. That's one. QWERTY keyboards is one, and I have immigrants' origins by state.
Okay, QWERTY keyboard.
QWERTY keyboard.
Okay. I'm glad you asked. Today is this day in history. In 1868, a gentleman by the name of Christopher Lathan Scholes patented the QWERTY keyboard. And he also was the guy who sort of invented or started to manufacture a serious typewriter because he patented that a little bit later. And he found that the original keyboards, you know, if you remember an old typewriter, the typeface would be on the end of a long wire or pole.
Yeah, it'd be an arm.
And if you type too fast, they would get crossed and they would stick.
Yeah.
So he spread out the letters by how they were used to prevent that from happening. It was also at the behest, it seemed, from telegraph operators.
Okay.
And they rearranged it so that it was easier for them to do it faster because there was a gap between the people that were typing in the message and then the people who had to translate the message on the other end. And there was some distinction there. So it was easier for the telegraph people. And the original was an alphabetic keyboard where they put the numbers, the letters A through 26. Right. Yeah. We said, well, everybody knows the order of the alphabet. So, but it wasn't working out too well. And they were, he rearranged it because the bars would jam. It turns out that they separated things and some of them are still wacky because E and R are next to each other in the QWERTY keyboard. And that's the fourth most used combination in the English language.
Yeah.
So that doesn't separate it out. Now, this entire crossing of the bars became moot because very few people use keyboards and typewriters, and even typewriters have become electric now.
Yeah. Well, I remember my last typewriter had the ball.
The ball, right.
Had the ball in it, and it's still, I made a ton of mistakes with it. But my first typewriter was a...
Yep. And then I'm constantly going in and pulling the two letters apart and pulling them back.
I didn't type fast enough for that to be an issue. Yeah, I mean, did you take a typing class? Can you type without
I did.
seeing? Okay.
Paula Snarberg Tuccio.
Okay.
She was an ex-Playboy bunny, married to, and she was like 5'2", married to a 6-foot-tall Nassau County narcotics detective. She would come to high school driving in a gold Datsun 280Z.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool car.
Yep. And she was a lot of fun. We did great typing. To this day, I can type really well, but it's from my head to the back. I can't read a paper here and know where the letters are on the keyboard.
Okay.
I can't type like that.
Yeah, I type with these 6 fingers.
Okay.
So I'm not so much a Christopher Columbus. I am still a Christopher Columbus, but I type with these. Blake, how do you type? Do you type with all you're a pretty good typer.
I'm mainly more so when I'm doing my texting, I usually do like my thumbs only. So
we're talking about a keyboard like actual computer keyboard.
Yeah. So but however, if you use like a physical keyboard, I usually use like my 3 main fingers
So you're kind of like me, like just with these, the thumb and first two.
My thumb's really more used for like shift and like control than like actually typing anything out.
Yeah, I think that's probably true with me too. Or the shift button and so
there's been some evolution in keyboard technology, I suppose it was.
Yeah, split one.
Well, yeah, which is kind of wacky too. But this guy Christopher Soules teamed up with the Remington Company.
Okay.
Because, it was after the Civil War, so the need for guns had diminished a little bit.
They had factories.
Right, exactly. And they were manufacturers. So they started manufacturing typewriters.
Okay.
And they type them with the QWERTY keyboard. So what happened was, Remington's no fool. He started a typist training academy.
Okay.
And taught people how to learn to type on the QWERTY keyboards.
Yeah.
So when they went out into the world, if there was another keyboard, these people didn't want to use it, so they weren't forced into, but they were using the QWERTY keyboards and the Remington machines.
It sounds like it was more effective anyway.
Yeah.
I wonder, did Clem use a typewriter, or did he just handwrite?
Who is that?
Mark Twain.
Oh, I have no idea.
So.
I have no idea if he was, clacking or handwriting. Or, at
Wait,
some point he might have had a
quick
scribe.
Google search that for me? Because I'm wondering if he actually used a typewriter.
But,
Hold on 1 second. Yes, so he did use a typewriter. He was one of the first authors to use one. Although he additionally had a love-hate relationship with the typewriter. He acquired his first one in 1874.
Oh, it was one of the new models.
Yeah, and Stetson Kennedy, he put everything on note cards.
Okay.
And then he had his little typewriter at Lake Baloo-Tahatchee. As he went through the note cards, he would say, "Oh, okay, this is," and he kind of put them in order of, "Okay, this is how the kind of."
So he indexed out what he wanted to write.
Storyboard.
Yeah,
He said that was his process of.
Well, it's organizational.
Doing index cards.
Yeah, that works.
So, I just always wonder how these great writers get. Do they have the ending and fill in everything else, or do they have the beginning and write it as they go?
I think about that when you watch involved television programs, and you watch the first episode, and you watch the plot twists. You go through 10 or 12 or 15 episodes in a season, sometimes 20, and they get to the end. Did they sit down and figure out that this guy was going to be the turncoat, the bad guy, or he was going to get kidnapped by? How do you know what's going to happen? You have to write the entire show first to get to the ending. I'm fascinated by how that works.
And that's I think if I was to do the story, I'd have the beginning and I'd have the end. Then I'd have to fill in everything else, like how to get to the cake.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. You got to bake that cake.
Yep.
So and
it's impressive.
You're a chef, so you kind of have a recipe,
right?
But to make it great, you got to add a little spice,
tweak a little here, tweak a little there, for sure.
So I think that was if I had to write like a fictional novel, I would have the beginning and the end, and then figure out everything and figure out the guts.
Yeah, but as you're going along, you might have to change your ending between what happens in the middle. That's the thing that I mean, how did they know that this was? How did they figure this out, or how did they plan this out? And again, I'm visualizing the corkboard with all those little index cards on it with this happens this way, and they start rearranging them. Mm-hmm. But the need for the QWERTY keyboard has sort of disappeared because now with computer screens and tablets and phones, there's no bars across. Yeah. So they started to try to create thumb-oriented typing. And there's a guy by the name of Dvorak, D-V-O-R-A-K, in the 1930s, came up with an alternate keyboard that was K-A-L-Q, but it didn't catch on because, everybody was QWERTY. Yeah. But now there's the split keyboard you're talking about, and they're trying to figure out keyboard organizations for the letters that makes it easier to do with your thumbs. Yeah, I watch kids nowadays, and they go whipping through.
I think it's going to be one of those situations. It's going to be by looking at it with your eyes, and no longer going to have to do it with your thumbs and actually make physical contact.
Yeah, but all right, but just out of curiosity though, like with your dyslexia, how so like what's like your main issue like with your dyslexia when typing like
my main issue is my brain goes 1,000 miles an hour, and my thumbs and my hands go like 5. And my biggest problem is I leave out words like a very key word to not leave out is the word not.
Get yourself in trouble that way.
Yes. I am going to give you $1 million. I am not going to give you $1 million. Very key word to those, so I leave out words because my brain gets going too far ahead. And sometimes sentences just don't make sense. And it could be 2 or 3 words together that I leave out. My spelling's not terrible for somebody with dyslexia. Like I was saying, I think me playing Scrabble growing up helped my spelling, helped it like just kind of lock in some of those things. But mine is more, I'll leave out either a word in a sentence is very key or a couple words in a sentence is very key. So if you're ever texting me and it makes no sense, it doesn't hurt my feelings. Just say, what the hell are you saying? So, I'm used to it. So, and the people that I text regular are used to it. So,
yeah.
So,
right. They know how to translate Troy language.
Troy text.
For sure.
All right. We have immigration origins by state, AI. And now I have percentage of forest in the U.S. So we're only going to be able to get to 2 of these 3, it looks like, and then we're going to go into 5 questions.
Okay.
Blake, which one of those do you want? Immigration origins by state, AI, or percentage of forest in the U.S.? Because we talked about having more forest now than we have.
You know what? And I looked it up, and you were so spot on.
Yeah.
You know?
So
far be it for me to take anything at face value. You know that by now.
no, I don't want you to.
No.
That's why I have Blake back check.
Right.
I was like, hey, I feel like this is right.
Yep.
My memory is not-
You're absolutely correct. I
No.
looked it up. I'm going, son of a gun. We got trees
Yeah.
freaking everywhere.
So,
All right, I'm gonna go with immigration.
all right, immigration origins by state. Now, Blake, if you would pull up that map, and one of the things that really caught me off guard, I'm going to call out a couple. I'm going to quiz you. Blake's
Okay.
already seen the map. You have not seen
have
the
not.
map. It is up there, and I don't think you can see it.
Not if I put unless I put my glasses on, and even then it'll be a challenge.
All right. I'm going to call out a state, and you tell me what country you feel has the most immigrants from that particular country in that state. Like it's the leading
Okay.
immigrants in that state.
Okay.
Like Texas, you know it's Mexico.
Okay,
All right. So it's not going to be as easy as that.
fine.
All right.
California.
Hold on. Yeah, still the same. All right, we're going to turn it this way. Here's one that I found interesting. Michigan.
It's somewhere in the Middle East. I'm gonna go. I'm trying to think of a Middle Eastern country where they would come from. Lebanon.
India.
Really?
It's India.
Okay.
All right.
I think there is a much larger population of Arabs and Muslims in Michigan.
Yeah. All right. I don't know why that's not blowing up for me. Come on. There you go. That's why. All right. Let's go South Dakota. This one's a strange one for me. Do you see where South Dakota was at, Blake?
Yes.
All right.
South Dakota is probably.
Like I think you can leave the map up, Lenny. Just don't look
Yeah,
at the screen. I don't
I
know if
couldn't
it'll.
see
I
it.
don't
I
know if
couldn't
it'll
see it
help you. I
anyway.
think you can leave the map
Here,
up there.
I'll do it this way so if I can't see it on my phone either.
Yeah.
South Dakota. Let's go with Turkey.
Guatemala.
Oh, I was going to say Honduras, but
I don't know how they got to South Dakota. All right.
because they're all working in a meat processing plant, a pork processing plant.
Maryland. None of these are Mexico. So
No,
I
figured
none of
that's
these are
low-hanging
Mexico.
fruit.
Mexico is like 30 of the 50 states. So
Yeah, Maryland, huh? Let's go with the Dominican Republic.
not bad. Not bad. It is El Salvador.
Okay.
All right, but the Dominican Republic is your home state.
New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the most immigrants in New York are from the Dominican
Yeah, it's
Republic.
called the Bronx.
Yeah. So, all right. Connecticut.
Huh.
And by the way, India was New Hampshire, Virginia, Ohio, Indiana, and Michigan.
Impressive.
Was a nation of India.
Impressive. Connecticut, huh?
Connecticut, it was only one, and it comes out of the Caribbean.
Okay,
Only-
so that
only-
would be Jamaica.
You are correct.
Hey, I'm on the board.
Dominican included Rhode Island, New York, and Pennsylvania.
Interesting. I wouldn't have thought that for Pennsylvania.
Yeah. So, all right. And Canada,
And this is from when actually? Because
this was 2020.
okay. Because I was thinking, in the olden days it was Italy, Germany, Ireland. But that was a century
Germany
ago.
still has one state where it's the number one immigrant in that state.
Wisconsin.
No.
Huh.
Wisconsin is still Mexico.
Really?
Yeah.
That's because it's due north.
Yeah.
It comes straight up through Texas. That's why Illinois is so big on Mexicans too.
Yep. Canada is Vermont, Maine, and Montana.
Okay, because they could just walk across the street.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess that's over where Calgary's at. Is that where that's at? Or is that further over?
But that was why the whole center of the country, there's such a huge Mexican population in Illinois, is because when they left Mexico and they went north, they kept going straight north.
Yeah.
And that's why you ended up in Colorado and Mexico and Illinois.
All right. Germany they have the one state, and it's West Virginia.
Interesting.
All right.
Okay, I wouldn't have thought that.
Florida,
Cuba.
you would think it's Cuba,
Then I'm going Haiti.
but the answer is actually Cuba.
Okay.
So,
All right, I got 2. Thank you.
all right. And Louisiana, and it's not Mexico. See, I thought that would have been an easy shot from Texas, that would be Mexico, but it's not Mexico.
And this was just in the year 2020.
So it's 2020. Like, no, it was basically the population of immigrants in that state in 2020.
Oh, so I'm going to go Canada and the Acadians.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Honduras.
You know, those little countries send a lot of people out here. Is there anybody left in Honduras, Nicaragua, El Salvador?
All right. Hawaii.
Japan.
Philippines.
Okay.
Alaska.
Canada.
Philippines.
Really?
Yeah. Seems like a long way.
I wonder if
But
a
I
lot of
guess
these
they're
are
fishermen.
industry, right? Industry oriented,
industry-wise,
right? Yeah,
industry-wise,
it's
it makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
So I just found that fascinating that some of these really caught me off guard, like Germany being in West Virginia.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that.
Not finding a lot of sauerkraut down there. Yeah, not a lot of worse.
I love me some good sauerkraut. I'm not gonna lie. So
yeah, absolutely.
all right, Blake, we have left AI and percentage. We might be able to get both of these in because the percentage of forest is pretty easy too. You want to do AI and then or you want to knock out percentages of forest?
Let's do percentages of forest first, please.
All right,
Okay.
let's pull up the map.
Okay.
All right. We talked about this
A couple weeks ago. Because I went home and looked it up. Yeah.
And I decided, okay, let me check and see the map of where we're at.
Maps up.
And the smallest percentages are in states that they just don't have trees there. It's kind of an open
Deserty
area.
and, yeah,
it's a
Arizona.
It's
Yeah.
a
Well,
plains
Arizona's got
area.
forests.
And believe it or not, Arizona has 26% of its land is actually forest.
The northern half of Arizona is very, very
Yeah.
forested up by not Scottsdale. What's up there? Starts with an F.
Flagstaff.
Thank you very much. Correct.
The lowest percentage by state that has forest at only 2% is North Dakota. All right, and I was thinking, okay, up in the,
The Black Hills are in South Dakota.
I've never.
And that's only 4%.
Yeah, and it's only 4% there. So it's that kind of that corn belt is. Kansas is 5%, Nebraska is 3%, South Dakota is 4%, and North Dakota is 2%. Now Florida's coming in at 51%. All right.
Give it till next week when they take down more trees for more houses, and we'll be down to 50%.
Yeah. So I don't know what I keep doing here.
I find it fine that
my phone's winning today.
I find it strange that North and South Dakota are 4% and 2% because there's a lot of forests up there and there's a lot of mountains up there, and I don't know what are they growing in North Dakota.
I don't know. Maybe
know
wheat.
Either. Maybe it's not corn. Maybe it's wheat.
And the highest percentage I saw is in Maine.
Yeah,
at 89%.
That's the pine tree state.
Now, and I went through the 100-mile wilderness or the 100-mile forest or whatever it is. Yeah,
There's
in
trees.
there.
Yeah.
You're walking on roots.
Yeah.
You're walking on roots. You might walk on a rock or two.
Mm-hmm.
There's very little grass, but I mean, you're walking on just some tough terrain. It was probably the more challenging terrain with the way the roots were and stuff. And the black flies were ridiculous.
So I just read something that's complete non sequitur here, though. You're talking about walking around. When you're doing the Appalachian Trail, did you ever get to that point where you were challenged to eat a half-gallon of ice cream when you got to wherever you got to?
No.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah.
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
So, no, I never was.
Yeah.
So, a half-gallon?
Half-gallon of ice cream. Like 17 minutes. You'd have people say, oh, it's great. I need it. You just walk and you got to replace all your calories because you went through and you needed 6,000 calories.
I think
and then people going, that was the worst thing I ever did.
I think that'd be a shock to your
Yeah,
system.
worst thing I ever did.
So, I don't even think I could drink a glass of milk
Now,
after hiking.
all right. A little bit of trivia though. Do you know what our state tree is?
Florida?
What our state tree is?
Yes.
Yeah, it's one of the palms.
Yeah, isn't it the sable palm?
Yes, it is. Do you know what North Dakota's state tree is?
It doesn't sound like they have a whole lot of them.
Right. It's one of the 2 trees they have. I mean those not brands. I mean individual trees.
I'm going to say a birch. I don't know.
It's an American elm tree.
Elm.
Yeah.
Okay.
They have the same tree as Massachusetts.
Okay.
Interesting.
All right. Next highest, it looks like New Hampshire was the next highest at 84%.
Makes sense. What about Vermont too?
West Virginia, they were at 78. West
Yeah.
Virginia was at 79. But when you kind of think of forests and stuff like that, I think of Washington. I think of that area.
Oregon, yeah, the Pacific
Yeah.
Northwest for sure.
Yeah. So I think
Even
Oregon,
Northern California is very, very forested.
Yeah. And it's even as populated as California is. It's at 33%. New York's at 63%.
Oh, there's
So
a
they
lot
have
of
more
empty
forest
women, yeah.
by percentage than we do here in Florida. So, and I wonder if that's a factor because we have, lakes and rivers and all that stuff that kind of break up our topography. So, did I use topography in the right?
You did.
Okay. Ooh,
Yeah, absolutely.
nailed it. Multi-syllable word. It's the only one you're going to get this week. So, Alabama was at 71. I mean, the Southeast is holding good, even though there's a ton of development there.
Yeah.
And a lot of these.
What about Georgia?
It's at 67.
Yeah, I would think Georgia's pretty dense. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a 67. I mean, Arizona, I think of Arizona and I think of New Mexico as desert.
Right.
But New Mexico is 32% and Arizona is 26%.
What about Texas?
Texas is 37.
Really? It's
Yeah.
not bad.
Yeah, so I mean, the only ones that were really weak is where the corn grows
And the Dakotas.
in the Dakotas.
Yeah, go figure.
It's where it's. I mean, Iowa's only at 8, which is weird because Minnesota's above it at 34%, and then you have Missouri below it at 35%, and then Iowa's sitting at 8%.
Well, that's because it's all cornfields. In Iowa, it's just corn
Yeah.
after corn after corn.
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering if North and South Dakota, because you've got the Black Hills and you've got, the spur of the Tetons, if it's too mountainous necessarily for too many trees and forests.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering if that's part of it as well.
Yeah. Indiana's 21, Illinois is at 14%. So I just found it kind of an interesting number, and I made a statement, and you fact checked and backed it up that we have more trees right now
Than we did 100 years ago.
than we did 100 years
Yep,
ago.
Absolutely
So-
correct. Yep.
So what was the number that you?
A lot.
Yeah, it was a lot.
It was a
different.
lot of trees.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. It was a significant number.
Yes, it was. It was impressive.
And that's where I was like, okay.
Well, it made me a little happy.
Yeah. So I'm glad I can make you happy.
Thank you very
All right,
much.
AI. Let's try and knock that one out.
Okay.
And let's save this one for tomorrow.
For sure.
So that was a good topic for.
I
tomorrow.
found it's interesting. They've been doing research on AI, and left to its own devices, there's a genic misalignment. AI will start to, and it's taking humanistic characteristics in the fact that they're getting their ass insulted. This artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
So if AI knows that it's going to be shut off or replaced by a different version of AI, they start to get a little nefarious. And they will use corporate espionage or blackmail. AI will blackmail people to prevent them from being turned off or replaced by a different AI. It's to defend against replacement. It's really, and it's goal conflict, and it's generative AI in particular, because generative AI is mimicking human imagination and creativity. And, nowadays there's up to 100 million people use ChatGPT weekly, and maybe even more than that.
Yeah.
But they tried some experiments, and they left things out there that, yes, well, we're going to bring in a different AI, and all of a sudden, the AI says, hey, Kyle, we found out that, you don't want us to send this up the food chain, do you? Because, he was having an affair with somebody, and she made the mistake of sending his corporate email that, you left your tie under my bed. Should I bring it to you at work or give it to you? He said, first of all, don't text me on this one. Text me on my private one. Don't text me at work. And so the AI found that email and said, Kyle, you thinking of closing me down?
Yeah.
Should I release this email to your boss?
Yeah.
That was one of the things. Then there was also corporate espionage. They were, the AI was talking about saying, yeah, we can release this to our competitors if you're not careful. So all of a sudden, AI started getting a little sentient, and they're thinking, and they're trying to prevent themselves from being unplugged.
Yeah.
And I found that very frightening.
That is very frightening.
So, you know, and it's also, you know, AI hallucinates now. You know, a lot of people have said,
Oh, it is.
and we did this just
it is very human-like.
exactly. We did this the other day. Julie was looking up something about whether or not a bar restaurant had full liquor bar, and AI said, "Of course they have full liquor. You can get all your cocktails you want there." And I you know, I had forgotten that we had eaten there, and I didn't think that was the case. And we go down, and I said, "All right, I'll have a vodka martini." They said, "We got beer and wine." I said, and Julie said, "But look, here's the AI answer to say." And I said, "Well, once you said it was AI, I knew we were in trouble."
Done.
But you know, AI, it's been incorrect predictions. They did false positives, false negatives. So there's a lot of weird stuff that AI is doing wrong nowadays. And people are putting a little too much faith in AI.
Yeah.
So I kind of find that a little bit bizarre. But that's the AI thing. But the fact that AI is now trying to defend itself from being replaced or unplugged is a little, open the pod bay door, Hal.
Yeah.
Hal, open the pod bay door, please.
That's definitely very scary. Like to think like all of a sudden, like, I mean, we still have like the ultimate stoppage for like is it just like
Yeah, unplug it.
Unplug it. Yeah, that's a big thing. That we wouldn't have Space Odyssey 2001 Space Odyssey if they would just unplug the damn thing.
Yeah.
Okay, just a side note before we get into the 5 questions.
Yeah.
So, you know, words have, you know, different meanings and things. So I saw a line on something and I said, "Oh, that's interesting. I really want to look into this." And it was talking about the Florida state budget, and it was budget turkeys. And I'm going, great, we're going to get a good deal on turkeys. And it was about the things that were in the budget that sucked.
Yeah.
Turkey being a bad thing, as opposed to 3 strikes in bowling.
Yeah.
So I'm going, oh, good, we're going to get some inexpensive turkeys. Boy, did I misread that.
Yeah, no.
I thought that was pretty funny, actually.
In the government world, when you get a turkey in there, and sometimes those are just representatives seeing what they can get away with.
Yeah, you know, the pork. Yeah,
sometimes those get in there.
Pork barrel, or exactly.
All right, questions. 5 questions. I have 3. You have 2.
Okay.
Are you prepared with your 2?
I am.
All right. Here you go. Rank yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 of your packing skills. You've been going on like getaways and stuff like that. Rank yourself on your packing skills on a scale of 1 to 10.
I will give myself an 8 because I pack very well. I fit things in there. I've started to roll things now as opposed to fold because you can really tuck them into nooks and crannies. But I am a nefarious and notorious overpacker.
Okay.
I bring more clothes than I need because I don't know if I'm going to go out for dinner tonight. I don't know if I'm going to wear a T-shirt. I don't know if I want to change my clothes. It's going to be, you know. So I take much more clothing with me than I really need to, it seems.
Yeah. So you're an 8.
Well, yeah, in my standard. Yeah. Well, because I can fit a lot of things in a bag.
Yeah.
But then it's heavy as sin.
Yeah.
So Julie keeps chiding me for throwing it on my shoulder and not having wheels.
Blake, where would you rank yourself?
Like a 5. It depends on which parent I'm going with, I would say.
All right. Who's over your shoulder now?
Oh, that's Steve Harvey.
Steve Harvey? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Answer. Oh, it's 5 questions. Okay, I got you. Yeah.
And you, sir?
I think I could be a professional packer.
Okay.
My packing skills are strong. So I'm a 9, and I might be a 9 plus.
Now, do you pack in a backpack or a luggage?
I pack everything. It's a backpack that is also a bag, which has a carry-on, which has room for everything. And I can tell you, my days of playing ball, because you were always allowed 2 bags, and your backpack was always your second bag. So
right, your equipment bag.
You pretty much had to put everything else in the other. It trained me how to really. I mean, I roll things up pretty tight.
Yeah, right. Which is a great technique to fit stuff in.
And it minimizes, if you
wrinkles.
roll it properly, it minimizes wrinkles.
Yep.
So shoes is what really gets people.
Oh, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what really gets people. And I'm a person who I like. You've seen some of the efficiencies in my bag. Usually other people are putting stuff in my bag,
Impressive.
and they're like, "Hey, you can you fit this in?" They go to put it in my bag. I was like, "Don't touch it.
Right.
I'll put it in my bag."
Yeah. So, I'm still trying to learn how to use a backpack more efficiently and get a backpack, because apparently there's some great ones out there that you can use.
We'll bring one. We everyone in the family has the same backpack that we found probably 5-6 years ago, Blake, maybe longer than that.
Yeah.
But we all have the exact same style. We have different years versions of it. But next weekend getaway, let me know, and I'll let you borrow one of ours, so you can do your backpack training.
I need to.
So all right, you have a question. You got question number 2.
Yeah, what's the longest flight you've ever taken?
Longest flight I've ever taken is I went to Hong Kong, but the longest I was on a plane was going to Johannesburg when there was a medical emergency. We had to fly to New York, and then we had to sit on the tarmac. We were on that physically. Our asses was on that plane over 24 hours.
Wow.
So, but I mean, we weren't in the air all that time because we flew out over the Atlantic. From Atlanta, somehow we went back to New York to go to Johannesburg, and I don't understand the curvature and all that stuff,
right.
of how that works.
You would think that there would have been someplace a little closer than New York on the way.
Yeah. So,
how long?
That'll be my flight.
That's Blake.
Well.
That's Blake's
Yeah,
answer too.
that's my flight.
Yeah.
Where'd you leave for Hong Kong from?
We left from Detroit to Tokyo to Hong Kong.
Okay, so that was two. That was 2 flights.
That was
then.
two separate flights.
Two flights.
Yeah.
So the longest I was in the air was probably Detroit to Hong Kong.
Okay, Detroit to Tokyo.
To Tokyo.
Right.
Yeah,
which
Tokyo.
is not a bad flight. Yeah, the longest flight I ever taken was Sydney to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
You know, when I went to
Was
Australia,
that 16 hours.
Whew, when I went to Australia, it was Honolulu to Sydney, and that was fine. You had to add the extra 5 hours or whatever. You know, I take a shorter route, and that kind of worked out. You know, actually, that's probably as long. It was. They showed 3 movies. Mm-hmm. I drank every can of beer on the plane that day. This was in 1981.
Wade Boggs it.
Yeah, every can of beer, and they were pulling stuff out from the back of the coolers. And you know what? When beer gets sweet because it's been around forever.
No,
it was
No, I don't.
It had been in the back of that plane for a while. I was drinking some Belgian beer. This was from Australia to L.A. And they were pulling brands of beer out from flights that hadn't been flown in weeks.
Yeah.
No, my goodness.
No, I can tell you this. I'll pass on the beer on a flight.
Yeah.
So I'm not a guy who drinks a whole lot on a flight anyway.
Well, I was younger then.
Cocktail. All right. All right. Tell me your strangest superstition. Your strangest superstition.
Well, I get this from my mother, and she said never put shoes on a bed. Mm-hmm. So if I'm packing or if I'm doing something and I'm in the bedroom and I have my shoes in my hand, I will not put them on the bed. And I don't know what her rationale was, but I respect my mother enough to not do it.
You just don't put shoes on the bed. You don't even know why. You just don't do it.
Nope. She said never put shoes on the bed, and I said okay.
All right, Blake. What do you got? What's your strangest superstition?
Strangest superstition I would probably say is I always get I would say for me I need to wear a cap every single day, like a baseball cap every single day, because otherwise my head feels naked.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't know if I consider that a superstition on my part, but you feel uncomfortable without it.
Yes.
Okay.
I definitely feel uncomfortable without it because I guess it might be more of a personal look thing because I'm just a lazy person.
And I started wearing. I mean, people ask where the hats come from, and I started wearing hats when I worked at the amphitheater because I'm so short. Mm-hmm. When I went into the pit, they couldn't find me, so I'd wear a hat, and they'd go, "Okay, that's Troy's wearing a black hat today. There he is, right there." And so it helped them find me in the pit when I had to go in there and call for security or somebody like that, and they could find me easily. So that's where these type of hats really came from. I've worn a ball cap quite a bit.
Sure.
But that's where my hats came from.
But now let me ask you this. You wear hats every day and you wear them all day.
Yeah.
When you take your hat off, do you still have phantom hat syndrome? Does it feel like you're still wearing your hat? Because I will do that. When I take my hat off, sometimes I feel like the hat band is still there.
And weird, I don't know what it is about me, but I never get hat head. It's so weird. All right. All right. My strangest superstition is when I play baseball, Wade Boggs ate chicken every day.
Every day.
So he ate chicken every day. So on game day, I ate chicken every day. One day I didn't. I couldn't get and find chicken. We didn't have chicken at the house. All I had was the chicken bouillon cubes.
Okay.
I ate those. So
I'll get your sodium level right up there.
That's how much. But I was in the middle of a hit streak.
Okay.
my hits record got broken at Deland, but I still have the hit streak record. So I'm still DiMaggio in that one. But I think the strangest one that I have is on big games. And I don't play sports anymore, so I don't have it anymore. But on big games, I had such high nervous energy, and I was so amped. I was such a competitive person. I would throw up.
Oh, okay.
And it got so bad, like if it was a big game, my teammates would say, "Have you thrown up yet?" And they would make me go down, like, and I always did it. I'd go down the line. I'd throw up down the line. There's a couple times I threw up at home plate, but it was I thought, wow, this is like the weirdest thing ever. And you know who else did this? Bill Russell.
Really?
Bill Russell.
I think I read that someplace.
If he didn't throw up, Red would send him into the locker room to throw up. And I was like, and I didn't know that. Like, I went my entire career, like going, man, this is so weird that I and I let off. So I mean, I was always the guy who wanted to be in the, I wasn't afraid of the competition. It's just my energy level got so high that's where it took me. And usually I had a Sprite, because after you throw up, Sprite's probably the best thing. But that was probably my strangest superstition that I had during my sports career. So, and there's other ones.
And superstition is a lot.
I won't walk under a ladder, and I think
that's
more of a safety issue. Right. But I mean,
so it's not like you didn't wear your same socks every day at a game, or
if I felt like it got me in a comfortable place. And I did hypnotherapy, when I was in high school, and I'm a person that can't. A lot of people can't get hypnotized, but I choose, to allow my brain to get hypnotized. And I can tell you this: I did hypnotherapy, and it carried me through college, and it carried me through, like, when I went into a slump or something like that, I reverted back to some of those self-hypnosis things. And it sounds weird, but I really genuinely feel like it worked.
Nice.
So
good.
All right.
That's how you quit smoking.
Yes. So what's your other one? You got favorite?
What's your favorite food?
Just depending on what it is. Normally, my favorite food is steak. It's a good fillet. That's normally my favorite food. I love a good lobster from Anegada. But I have
those are those clawless lobsters.
Yeah, I have a pretty broad palate.
Yeah,
So
me too.
Kenny, I did bring in a little sampler for Lenny to try out of your favorite food. So I'm sorry, Kenny, I didn't get you a batch right now, but I made a small batch this week, and Lenny got what's left over of it.
Smells like chili.
Yeah. So what is your favorite food? And I'm going to ask tomorrow too, in case it's Troy's chili.
Okay. All right, I'll let you know. I guess it's gonna be veal Milanese.
Veal Milanese.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, pounded breaded veal cutlet.
Oh, yeah.
Not necessarily a pounded breaded veal chop, but just a pounded breaded veal cutlet. And I grew up eating that at home. It was my father's go-to in most Italian restaurants if they had it on the menu. So I probably got it that way.
Yeah. My grandmother made these things called porcupine balls, and I actually made some probably about a month or two ago. Rebecca had some, and my friend Ricky had some. But it's like a sauerkraut with a meatball and some rice in it, and with a red sauce. And if my grandmother made it, that was my favorite meal, or my favorite food. But I think a good steak is,
Yeah, I'll take schnitzel any day of the week. Chicken schnitzel, pork schnitzel, veal schnitzel. Yeah, absolutely. A breaded veal cutlet. A veal Milanese.
Are you a liver
is
and
a
onions
schnitzel.
guy or no?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm a chopped chicken liver kind of guy.
Okay.
I'm a cornmeal fried chicken liver kind of guy. I mean, I like chicken livers. Don't like beef liver. I don't like calf's liver. But I make a great liver alla veneziana, which is very thin sliced calf's liver, sautéed at a very high heat so it gets a little crispy.
High heat.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
With onions. Well, you're talking very thin strips.
So you're just flipping it once or twice.
Yep. And then you're cooking it with onions, and balsamic vinegar, and or just red wine vinegar and vinegar in general. And that's a great little dish. If you have to eat liver, that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Unless you got a lot of bacon.
Blake, what about you? Favorite food?
Yeah, I think like personally it has to be your indoor grill steaks. They're just phenomenal. But
Pittsburgh style or not Pittsburgh?
Honestly, I kind of prefer like regular style.
Yeah. So
Yeah, but
I'm kind of leaning back. We had a Pittsburgh phase
Yeah.
where we
Still,
Sort of like our lamb.
yeah.
but we'll say outside of outside of the house, I'll probably have to go like classic hibachi hibachi meal.
Okay.
Specifically the dinner for two.
Yeah.
You like the onion volcano, don't you?
I do like the volcano, but I just won't eat the onions.
He loves the noodles. So
noodles are good.
He won't eat onions. Okay.
And I have to tell you, I appreciate Rebecca's bucatini.
Yeah.
Because that is just one good noodle.
Yeah. She's a bucatini fiend.
Yep.
So
Because you can drink your drink through it if you need to.
yeah, if you have to, get in a jam. All right, that's the end of our show. We do have one final question, but I'm going to save this for tomorrow.
Okay.
This question for tomorrow.
Okay.
If I don't do it on the morning show, we'll do it here.
Okay.
Well, I want to say thank you to you guys. We really appreciate it. Tomorrow morning, join Amanda and I. Will be back and doing our Stoidum. And tomorrow night, I'm sure there's going to be a lot to talk about again going on in the world.
Yeah.
You know, one thing Trump does, he makes our job easy.
Yes, he does.
He gives
Always
us
a topic.
Give us a topic every week. Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
Be safe.
Bye.